This is Lidis, and welcome to Years, the online questionnaire. Garrett Briggs will be asking me questions tonight on Pompeii, and we'll see what happens. So, hey, Garrett. Garrett?
Yes.
Hey! So you want to ask me a couple questions, about Pompeii, and just ask away, just ask some questions about Pompeii, and, I'll answer them. So,
Okay, well, I'm just gonna start off by asking you what you think your theory is about Pompeii.
okay. Well, I was going to say that I think when the explosion happened, the gases, when it built up, it was it came out and it was kind of in a liquid, it came out in a liquid form. And when it exploded, it collapsed in. And, it collapsed in because all the buildup in it. And then it all exploded, and all the, mountain came with the explosion. And the higher the magma went up, it got larger as it liquefied and solidified. So, it's more of a, there were large rocks and small rocks in the explosion, and a lot of it, it was a very, big, thing, but I think most of it was the big rocks, and a lot of the rocks found the buildings, and then the pyroclastic flow, the surge came on, and then went across that like one of those crop dusters, and it just basically poisoned everyone with those surges. But there had to be many surges to kill all the people. They found many of the people bones, and they got all the casings, and all of them were very scared, and we can tell by those movements that something catastrophic happened. So that's what I think.
Okay. So, there's only one eyewitness record by Pliny the Younger. Can you, summarize what that said?
Well, he was out in the fields one day, and he came and he saw this massive, it's like seeing a massive, smoke cloud. It's just like any regular volcano, but he had never seen it really happen before. And he ran in to talk to Pliny the Elder, and he looked outside, and Pliny the Elder was, like, wow. And I think Pliny the Younger's reaction was that it was too dangerous to go do anything to it. But he knew that it was a good time to evacuate, and he was the only eyewitness account, but he would have been one of the two if Pliny the Elder had survived. But his army and him went and tried to land on the beaches, but were pushed back. And but enough of that. I think Pliny the Younger got a very wide insight of what happened in Pompeii. So yeah, basically it. Yeah.
So, I don't know if you or our listeners are aware of how many people actually made it outside of Pompeii.
Mm-hmm. And many of them were excavators, and they were mostly people who were smart people. More of them, and some people just stayed because they knew that if their family stayed, they would stay. And they found some ruins of some people who, and they look at their skulls, and they said that some of them were gladiators, and that some of them probably had big problems where they couldn't go anywhere. They couldn't go make themselves survive. So
medical problems that prevented them from leaving.
Yes, medical problems. Yeah, handicaps kind of stuff.
Now, Pompeii is kind of a tourist an ancient Roman tourist village.
Mm-hmm.
What was Pompeii really known for, other than that?
I think they're really known for, that volcano is just huge, and I think it's kind of dangerous as a tourist attraction, but I think limit should be set on this tourist attraction. We don't want any big artifacts to be ruined or anything. It's kind of like a really old place, and I think that they're trying to preserve it the best they can. I think the other thing is that we don't realize that the other towns surrounding Pompeii also got hit. Not so big, but it was small, but catastrophic.
Majorly the town of Herculaneum.
Yeah,
On the
Herculaneum.
borders of
Herculaneum.
Pompeii.
Yeah, Herculaneum, and you really don't hear about Herculaneum, and we know that Miss Janung, our Latin teacher, was talking about how she didn't talk about that much, and you realize that the topic is about Pompeii, but you don't realize that Herculaneum was affected too. But all I can imagine is just rocks and a lot of surges just coming down on you, and you just be a hard time to survive, nowhere to go.
And actually, Herculaneum is more well preserved than Pompeii.
Yeah,
which
that's very
is
interesting.
starting to crumble.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So,
well, hold on one second. I have to plug something in. I'll be right back. I had to plug in my computer. So, what do you think the chances are that Pompeii is going to happen again to the same place?
well,
The volcano we know the volcano is still active, so what do you think it can happen again?
if there's another explosion, I think it's not going to be that big. It's a big volcano. It was a larger volcano. We know about a lot of explosions happening in Vesuvius. Many of them we did not know about, and with the advances of technology, we can now know when the earthquake will happen. But the problem is the nearby towns of all the big towns. How can we evacuate 1 million people out of those towns of about people, and that can't happen. So what I think the major problem here is, well, there's really not a big problem because it's smaller now due to the explosions in the past, and they would get smaller and smaller. And as Miss Janung described, the 19 when was that, Garrett? The second one?
1940s, I think.
1940s. Well, in the 1940s.
Around that time.
Yeah, in the 1940s when that explosion happened, it wasn't as big as the 79 one. But I think the reason it wasn't is that it gets smaller and smaller, and the energy gets smaller and smaller. If we have another one, it's probably going to be a very small one, like compared to a category like an earthquake, very small, like a tremor maybe.
Okay.
Mhm. Well, if that's all the questions you have, thank you, Garrett.
Yep.
And thanks for being online, and that was really good. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay.